Hey friends, thanks for stopping by the channel. Today we are covering the Beast Mastery Mage Tower Challenge. Uh, if you are looking for the easiest of the three Hunter Specs Mage Tower Challenge, I'm going to go ahead and recommend Beast Mastery. Survival has to do Archmage Xylem, which is a very difficult DPS race on the second phase, and Marksmanship has to do Thwarting the Twins, which is an even heavier mechanic fight than this one is. So if you're just here to try and get uh, the hunter appearance from this in the least painful way possible, this is probably your best bet. So we'll try and cover everything you'll need to know to complete this. Um, let's back it up. So as far as gear, I came in here with the Vault of Incarnates tier set, which is pretty strong, and also the trinket that drops from the Primal Council in that raid, which is a very meta and good trinket for this scenario. However, please don't think you cannot do this if you don't have this kind of gear. I've done this challenge in the past uh, in heirloom gear, so it's entirely possible. This is far more about respecting the mechanics than it is a DPS race. The only shopping you will have to do is for the Ravaged Seed Pod. It's a very, very good trinket for this, and it's very easy to get. It drops from the first boss in Emerald Nightmare on any of the four difficulties. Just cycle through them. Doesn't matter which one. Just get your hands on one. Shouldn't be too difficult. It's on a 1 minute cooldown, and it's absolutely perfect for this challenge. So that's really the only thing you need to go get. So as far as consumables go, uh, we are using the File of Charged Isolation. We're using the standard agility food and the little rocket buff you put on your ranged weapon. So we'll just get right into it. As far as talents go, I will just go ahead and share a link in the description box. It's just the standard build from Wowhead, really just about maximizing the number of interrupts you have and a little bit of AoE damage. So we're sending in our pets right now. Let's go ahead and pause. Jormog here, the big green worm. We are more or less going to ignore for the first portion of this fight. Jormog has 9 stacks of the Fell Hardened Scales, which reduce the damage he takes by 90%. So it's really pointless to try and attack Jormog for now. We're just going to focus on Tugar. Right now, our main priority, above all, is to interrupt Tugar's Fell Burst. We have to interrupt Fell Burst. If you want, you can get a focus macro from Wowhead, and that will make counter shotting Tugar a little bit easier. I just set Tugar as my focus, and I have a keybind for targeting my focus target, which for most of the fight is Tugar anyway. So um, we're going to try and save Intimidation for interrupting Jormog Sonic Screech. It hurts. We're avoiding the little swirlies on the ground. Those also hurt us. And really, that's it. It's a very rinse and repeat fight. So see, we're avoiding swirlies, we're interrupting Tugar. Now, you'll notice Jormog went underground, and there is now some rocks on the ground right here. There's 3 of them. They have the little green AoE around them. It's now our priority to lure Jormog, who's burrowed underground and is going to charge us. We need to lure Jormog through these rocks to peel off those fell hardened scales. All the while, we're cleaving down these eggs. This is exactly when we use the Ravaged Seed Pod. It gives us Leech, which heals us, and it does great AoE damage. Hopefully we can lure Tugar into it. So yeah, there comes Jormog. If you successfully do it, DBM will announce, it looks like I didn't there, but DBM will announce you peeled off a scale. So if you find that's a little overwhelming to focus on, in addition to all the other mechanics you're having to pay attention to, just try to always position yourself somewhere around this little cooking pot. We're going to interrupt Sonic Scream as much as we can. You'll notice the Fell Surge Totem pops up out of the ground. We need to uh, destroy that. An auto shot, anything Cobra shot will bring it down. If we don't, it has a long cast, but if we don't get it down, it will fear us. So anything we can use to stop Tugar's cast, we do. Ice Trap, Intimidation, Scatter Shot, Counter Shot, whatever. Just always probably my best advice would be always be thinking about what your next interrupt is. See, uh, just pay attention to what's on cooldown, what you're going to have up. You'll get used to the cadence of the mechanics, and you'll just start to get a feeling of when that his cast is about to come out. So we're cleaving, we're using our Ravage Seed Pod, burning down the Bile Spitters. The Ravage Seed Pod makes pretty short work of them. Uh, yep, so really just rinse and repeat at this point. We're going to Ice Trap Jormog there. Keep focusing on Tugar until we peel the scales off Jormog, avoiding the painful swirlies on the ground. And that's really, for the most part, the entire fight right there. It's really just about getting in a rhythm, cycling through your interrupts properly. Yep, and you see Ravage Seed Pod is always up and ready to go when the Bile Spitter eggs come out. We continue to lure, see right there? We continue to lure Jormog through the rocks to peel off the scales. Okay, now right there, you'll see my pet died. I did not interrupt Tugar. It's not the end of the world, actually. It just means for a while, Tugar is going to train us even after we res our pet. But we can still survive. It just, of course, makes it a lot more difficult. You can see how low my health got there. But eventually, Tugar will switch back to the pets. I've read guides that says he won't, and that's just not true. He will. You'll see multiple times in this fight. See, he's already back on my pet. You can recover. Just be prepared to use defensives if your pet dies and you have to resurrect it. So Jormog still has 4 scales, so we're getting there. We're over halfway there. And until then, we just keep plugging away at Tugar. Uh, you actually can choose to defeat Tugar or Jormog first. That's up to you. But you just need to know that whichever one is still alive after the other dies will enrage. Every time I've ever done this challenge over the years, I've always just focused on Tugar first. It's really important that you know, though, that once you're down to just Jormog, uh, the Sonic Screech has to be interrupted. It's not an option. It will one-shot you. So just bear that in mind. It's best if you can to try and cleave them down roughly around the same time. So Jormog's at 2 stacks now. We should be ready to go the next time he pops up. And other than that, we're just going to keep focusing on Tugar. We're going to interrupt when we can. We are going to get ready to AoE down the Bile Spitter soon. Resing our pet again. This was actually a really bad pull for me in hindsight. It was, my pet died a bunch, but you'll come to find if you do a lot of Mage Tower that there's really no perfect pull. It's really just about how many mistakes can you limit it to. And this one is a little bit more forgiving than some other Mage Tower challenges. Some, if you miss a single mechanic, it's a wipe, it's start over. So, okay, so now we see Jormog no longer has scales. Jormog is now completely vulnerable. This is the exact time we want to use everything we have. Drums, pots. It's time to go as hard as we can on Jormog and really start burning him down. You can cleave them down if you want. I think I usually just mostly just focus Jormog here, and then when Jormog's burrowing underground, I just go back to Tugar. Again, it's not a damage race. This is just about respecting the mechanics, getting in a rhythm, and you can get this. You do not have to be a really experienced hunter. You don't have to be amazing at Mage Tower challenges. Do not get discouraged. Your first few times you come in here, if it's your very first time, it feels really hard and overwhelming, and you'll think you can't do it. But just try and get a little bit farther each pull, and before you know it, you'll be in a really good rhythm. So we are finally starting to reach the end of this fight, sort of. Yep. So we're interrupting that Sonic Screech. We're just continuing to burn down Jormog. Avoiding swirlies. So yeah, if you can't interrupt the Sonic Screech, using your turtle is a really good way to mitigate that damage. Rising Pets again. We're going to run in on the eggs, drop our Ravaged Seed Pod, continue to cleave. When Tugar is standing in that AoE right there, that desecrated area from our trinket, it's going to do a lot of damage to him too. So it's best to try and lure him through that. Always taking down Fell Surge Totem. Don't want to get feared. We're in kill shot range, so we're looking really good now. It's just don't panic. Just calm, cool, collected. Remember all your interrupts. Yep. And here I just decide I'm still just going to focus, even though Tugar is nearly dead. Just going to focus Jormog while I can. Because I do not want Jormog up that long once he's enraged. It's significantly harder to survive. So basically, in this home stretch now, we're going to defeat Tugar and then finish off Jormog. Ravage Seed Pod, cleave down, and Tugar's dead. So after we defeat these eggs, there's really nothing to do while Jormog is underground besides just avoiding them. The scales are off, Tugar's dead, we've defeated the Bile Spitters. We're just waiting for him to pop back up, bearing in mind all the while that he is now enraged. See that buff? Right there, enraged. So we gotta really burn him down as quickly as possible, which we do, and that's that. So yeah, overall, really fun scenario. Beast Mastery is pretty well suited for it, and yeah. Uh, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them below the video, and I will try to respond. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and happy hunting.